today's session, we will be drawing a portrait of an old man. We will use STAEDTLER's mechanical pencil to do this. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me or use the chat box during the live session.
Today we are going to use STAEDTLER's mechanical pencil to draw an old man. Most of the drawing will consist of hatching. Hatching is when you draw lines parallel to each other to draw shading. The closer the lines are together, the darker the shading will appear. If you are unfamiliar with drawing the human head, please watch episode 10 of the STAEDTLER art sessions where we explain in detail how to draw the human head. But let's quickly go over the basics here. First, we draw a circle for the top of the head, then a horizontal line dividing the circle. This line will be the eyebrows. Then we draw a midline from the top of the forehead down towards the chin. We draw the side of the face and mark the line for the eyes. The eyes are about halfway between the top of the head and the chin. The bottom of the nose is halfway between the brow line, and the chin and the middle of the mouth is slightly higher than midway between the nose and the bottom of the chin. Draw the whole eyeball. This will make it easier to wrap eyelids over them. Sometimes it is a good idea to turn your drawing upside down to look for mistakes. Remember that the ear should not be bigger than the nose and is usually in line with it. Riaan is now drawing the line for where the old man's beanie is going to sit on his head. The beanie extends beyond the line of his face because wool tends to be thicker than other fabrics. When drawing the eyelids, it is helpful to remember that the upper eyelids are more curved than the lower eyelids. Draw the outlines of the eyebrows first, keeping it light. This will help you give it more volume when you draw the hair. When starting with the hair first, we tend to make the eyebrows too narrow. Now draw the fold for the upper eyelid. Double check your symmetry by turning the drawing upside down. Draw the whole iris. We sometimes make the iris look oval if we only draw the part we see, and that is why it is better to draw the whole iris over the eyelid. Draw the outline of the shape of his moustache and beard like we did with the eyebrows. Remove the cap on the other end of the pencil to reveal the precision eraser and remove the lines that you will not need anymore. Time to start the shading process. Draw diagonal lines and make them darker in the shaded areas and lighter on the highlights. Then draw a line crossing the previous lines to deepen the shading. You will see that Riaan repeats this process to make areas darker with this cross-hatching technique. We will not cover every aspect of shading in this tutorial. For a thorough understanding of shading principles, please look at episodes 1, 2, and 3 in the sessions where we explained the basics of light and what you need to look for whilst drawing. You will learn about highlights, midtones, shadows, reflected light, and ambient occlusion. Look closely at how Riaan draws the lines closer to each other in the shadows and further apart in the highlights. He varies his direction a lot and adds more directions to his lines in the shaded areas. A few notes on shading the human face. If the light source is from above, there will be shadows underneath the eyebrows, under the nose, and the upper lip will be the darkest. There will also be a prominent shadow under the chin and jawline. You can expect strong highlights on the forehead and bridge and tip of the nose. The lower lip will be lighter than the upper, and the ball of the chin will also have a highlight. Remember to highlight the upper part of the cheeks too. Drawing the shadows and highlights of the face might seem complicated, but it is a matter of understanding the principles of light and shadow. This is why the first lessons of this series are so important, because almost everything we draw are either a sphere, cube, or cylinder and have the same shading principles as their basic forms. You will see Riaan use mostly the shading principles of the sphere on the old man's face, especially in regards to his eyes. When drawing hair or a beard, try not to draw individual strands, but rather draw the spaces in between. Here you will see that Riaan focuses more on the gaps between the hair of the beard and not so much on the individual strands. Also look out for clumps of hair. When drawing clumps, focus on the gaps between the clumps. Your drawing of hair will become increasingly more realistic. Hair and beards also have highlights and shadows. You will see Riaan create big shadows on the beard where it is darker and less where there seems to be more highlights. Remember to give these facial structures dimension too with light and shadow. Fabric can be very daunting, but if you think of it as a series of cylinders and use the shading principles of cylinders, it will not be that difficult. It is sometimes helpful to think of the fabric as a series of hills and valleys. In the valleys, it will be darker, and at the crest of the hills, it will be lightest. As the curves flow into the valleys, it will create a gradual shift from light to dark. everything mostly shaded, Riaan is going back over the whole drawing and enhancing some of the shaded areas. It is good to get your drawing to an almost final stage and then give it another set of deeper shadows. To make areas even darker, you will need to draw lines in all directions to cover as much of the white paper where you need it to be very dark. Remember to use the precision eraser on the other end to remove stray lines and marks. Fixing some of the highlights with the eraser should be done closer to the end of the drawing process. We hope that you have had as much fun drawing with STAEDTLER's mechanical pencil as we have. Riaan only used about 2 pieces of lead during the drawing process and had very few lead breaks. The breaks he did have were due to his heavy-handed use of the pencil. The STAEDTLER lead is extremely break resistant. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you in the next session.